Hi, this is Bob, K0NR.
And I'm Joyce, K0JJW.
On the summit of Pikes Peak, doing Summits on the Air, and you're watching Ham Radio 2.0.
Yeah.
I am here today with Mike, W8CI, and Jack, WB8SCT. What'd you call SCT again?
Super cold teenager.
Super cold teenager.
Back in the 70s.
There you go. Okay, so I'm here with Mike and Jack from the Dayton Hamvention, and Jack, you were the actual chairman this year, correct?
I was the assistant general chair.
Assistant general. Okay, was Ron the general chair then?
Correct.
Okay.
Ron was the chair this year.
Okay, I couldn't remember if his last year was last year or if his last year was this year, but I've recorded your video for like 3 years in a row now, and I kind of get confused. But
is to clarify that, Jason.
Uh-huh.
To clarify that a little bit, we will be kind of switching over the board, and that is an elected position. Mm-hmm. We elect that position as general chair for 2 years, so we won't know who the new chair is until about the end of June. So.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm sure I'll find out. If I don't find out before, I'm sure I'll find out in Orlando next February.
So, well, you should find out before.
Okay, good deal. Well, thank you to you both for taking this opportunity. I wanted to do a follow-up video for the Dayton Hamvention. I think this was my fourth year to attend. I've been both of the years it's been in Xenia. And I was there the last year it was at Hera, and then I was there not 2 years ago, but 3 years before Hera ended. So I was there like 5 years ago, 3 years ago, and then the last 2 years in Xenia. So I've been 4 times, and I have enjoyed the heck out of it every time. Yeah, Hera had its issues, and a lot of people are tied to Hera because they're very nostalgic. You know, but the Xenia Fairgrounds is laid out. It's much more open the way it's laid out. I know some of the, and I'm just going to be blunt here, you know, this isn't necessarily my view, but I've heard some people complain about the flea market area. I've honestly spent very little time in the flea market area. I spend all my time in the 5 or 6 or 7 different vendor booths, walking around, talking to people, talking about new radios, new antennas, new equipment or whatever, because the YouTube show that I run focuses on what is new in amateur radio. That's my tagline, what is new in amateur radio. So I'm always looking for new stuff. What do you have that's new? What's a new model of radio? What's new this, new this, new this? So while I really enjoyed the flea market in the Hera arena because it was closer to walk to because Xenia is much more laid out, right? I mean, you know, if you wear a Fitbit watch, I walked at least 15,000 steps every day at Hamvention this year, which is extremely good for me. So, I mean, but with Hera, you didn't really, everything was a little bit closer and you walked around, and I got to see most of Hera in the flea market area, but I didn't get to see much of it in Xenia, but there was so much more in the new area, in the vendor area, the commercial vendor area, and the just the area around the center complex there where the food court is located. So I've very much enjoyed all of that. So I want to ask you guys, if you don't mind, about the flea market area, because there was a lot of I mean, you know, it's Dayton, Ohio, and the weather there is almost exactly like it is in North Texas. Honestly, it can change in 10 minutes. And so, but the asphalt you put down this year was much better than last year. The traffic was much better than last year. So you guys have learned and grown since then. So I'd like to get your thoughts on that. And I'd like to get your thoughts on where you might be going for the next year, that kind of thing from there. So you guys have the floor. You talk about whatever you want to. Leave out anything you want to, and I won't put that in. It's not a big deal. So it's up to you. So please go ahead. Thank you for being on the show.
So, the Agricultural Society and the local community worked very hard with us to get the flea market to where it was this year. And again, this is year 2. We learned a lot in year 1, and there are improvements. The plan is to widen the paths that we have, especially the turns, to make those radiuses easier to get around. I love the flea market. I love going. I'm a flea market Hamvention Hamfest junkie.
Okay.
That's where I live. I like to build things, interesting parts. So that's where I spend most of my time when I go to other shows. I don't have time to spend it at our show because I'm busy doing all these other things.
Right.
So that's where I spend most of my time when I go to other shows. I don't have time to spend it at our show because I'm busy doing all these other things.
Right.
We had, vendor-wise, we're very, very close in numbers to the flea market. We have a little less space. So our number-wise is down a little bit from where we were at Hera for the flea market, but it's very close to where we were. Mm-hmm. And the reports I've gotten back have been tremendous. Michael?
And we worked very hard, especially with all the, Xenia Township, Xenia City, our Greene County, where Xenia is located, the engineer's office, to get that infield done. And it was we had so much rain leading up to Hamvention. It was beginning to look like, are we really going to be able to get this done?
Right.
So up until the day before at about 4 o'clock, we finished as much as we could. And they even enlisted me. I drove the tractor around with the roller on the back. I rolled it all out, and for hours I went in circles. But that's what we all do to get things done. And so we were really happy. And Jack is exactly right, because there's already plans for widening those roads, re-rolling them, getting the turns even better. And there's lessons learned and we learned lessons during the event where people would walk across, and there were some safety areas that, with the rain caused a little bit slickness, and we fixed that right away. Mm-hmm. We have some other ideas that we are working on for next year to make it safer, wider, and even more usable. Mm-hmm. The other big news that is happening, that we talked to the fair board immediately when we took over brought Hamvention there. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that is really important, among others, is just the restrooms and restroom cleanliness. Yeah. And so they have already decided to buy all new toilets, heavy duty, flushable. They can really, for whatever reason, there was problems there, and they were forever trying to fix them. And so they decided to just spend the money and get some heavy duty equipment. The other thing that I think most people noticed this year was that the fair board had gone through all of their air handling units in all the buildings. We tried to keep them on overnight to keep the air circulating in there. Mm-hmm. Plus, they were a whole lot quieter, especially in the forums room, where they had noisy air conditioners and noisy this and noisy that. But we learned from that, and we can still improve that for next year. Talk about the tents, Jack.
Prior year, we had I don't know the official name, they were high top tents, and there were significant issues with wind and ventilation. This year we went with what's called a clear span tent. The technology is called a clear span. It's used more for industrial warehousing. Okay. And it worked out much, much better. The other thing we did is we moved it over one row from the original year. We actually had mud and water draining in the tents last year, more lessons learned.
Yes.
So the tents were moved back significantly, about maybe 40, 50 feet from where they were. Mm-hmm. The drains were outside the tent. The water would come down, naturally drain around the tent, and then going through the tents. And
right.
I still feel bad for some of the vendors that didn't have some of the ideal spots last year. And again, we just keep working to improve this, make it better for everyone.
Yeah.
The thing about it,
I knew a couple of the vendors in the mud tents last year, and I didn't see any of that this year. There were a couple of them that were over in the building. I'm good friends with the guys from Buddy Pole, and the guys from the Ham Radio Workbench podcast were across from Buddy Pole today, or this year. And they were in the Cale Nelson and the Ham Radio 360 guys were in one of the mud tents last year, and they got moved and everything worked out. But This year they were in the other tent, but I even walked through those tents on the far end over there, and I didn't see any of that this year. So that was vastly improved, in my opinion.
And we had the rain to test it, and Michael over here,
right?
He did a great thing for us. He actually ordered the rain so we can test everything we put in. So now that we know it works, Michael, we don't need the order for next year.
All right.
Right. Right. There you go.
Actually, when the flea market opened, I went down there, and I have a little cart that I drive around on from time to time because we got to get from one place to another quite often in a big hurry. And I was driving through there, just asking the vendors, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And they were all very positive about the road, until the point where I told them, I said, "Now we need a bunch of rain to just see how well this really works." They and I was kidding, of course, but
right.
They didn't know I was kidding. But, I do want to echo that the tent space really, having to have tents worked well. And I will say this too, even though we had a new building to use this year, the Mercantile building, we still had as much tent space as we did last year, and we still could sell more spaces. And there's a huge demand now to come to Hamvention. And I think another highlight, what did you think of the food, Jason? Any comments there?
Oh, I thought there's a very large variety of food. You can get barbecue, Mexican food. I think I saw Greek food. I think I saw some Italian food, like spaghetti and whatnot out there. There's a very large variety. I was this is me because I'm a big craft beer guy. There was less of a craft beer or a draft beer, I should say, presence out there this year than there was last year, because they in the food pavilion over there where those big tables were under the tent, there were these big beer trucks out there last year that said, draft beer here, or I can't remember what they said last year. And those weren't there this year, but if you walked over there, everyone around that area was selling draft beer. And so I'm like, oh, okay, so the signs aren't up and you can't see it, it's not as obvious, but it's still there, so I'm good. But that's just, a lot of people were like, I don't care about that. But but no, the food variety was fantastic. It was fantastic this year and last year, in my opinion. But I really liked the fact that you could go around and get some of the local craft beer and some of the area craft beer and stuff like that. And you can even buy like your Budweiser and stuff like that if people wanted that. I'm not a big Budweiser guy, but I think that was really cool, just the variety of it all. So I think that's one of the steps in the right direction.
If you ran Hamvention, Jason, what would you, or just as a person that's been there, give me one thing you'd change that you really didn't like.
Oh, gosh.
Don't think of too many now.
I wasn't prepared for that question.
See, we turned the tables a little bit. So.
Yeah. So you're interviewing me now. I think that, gosh, I think it would be, okay, here it is. I thought of this a while ago, and I forgot about it, and now here it is. It re-entered my head. I'm sure you guys know that a lot of people, and I'm not one of these people, I stayed through the whole thing, but a lot of people leave after the show on Saturday. Because Sunday was, there was a lot of activity going on Sunday, but not like Friday. And Friday and Saturday it was packed. In fact, I think I saw more people there on Friday than Saturday, which surprised me. But Sunday, the numbers were down. A lot of the vendors had left. These vendors, and I'm talking about the vendors here. I'm not talking about the flea market area necessarily. Maybe it applies to the flea market, maybe it doesn't. But a lot of these vendors, they'll get there on like Tuesday or Wednesday to set up and prepare and everything. I got there Wednesday evening, and we drove around the area, and companies like MFJ and HRO and some of these guys, they were already set up and going. I'm like, this is Wednesday at like 4:30 in the afternoon. These guys are set up, and they've left for the day already. So I wonder if it wouldn't be possible or feasible or advisable or however you want to say it to say, okay, A lot of these people were traveling from a long off location. It took me 15 hours to drive there from Texas. I could fly if I wanted to, but a lot of the guys are flying in. The buddy pole guys, they're from Portland, Oregon. They had a really long flight to get to all the way to Ohio. So I wonder if it wouldn't be more feasible to kill Sunday and say no more Sunday and do a half-a-day show on Thursday, like a 1 to 5 on Thursday, all day Friday, all day Saturday, which are the big days, and just say, okay, at the end of the day on Saturday, we're done. You guys use Sunday to go home. Thank you very much. See you next year. That may not be possible. It may not be a good idea. I don't want to put it out there and have you try it and say, well, this sucked. I don't want to do this. But
yeah, we could say Jason told us.
Yeah, Jason. Yeah, exactly. You can blame me. But I thought about that, driving home those 15 hours on Sunday, and I left about noon on Sunday. I drove halfway back home. I stayed in Springfield, Missouri Sunday night, and I drove the rest of the way on Monday. And I thought, I wonder if I could leave on Saturday night and go half of the way home and travel the rest of the way home on Sunday. I wonder how much more, because people are already there 2 or 3 days in advance before Friday. Most of the vendors, a lot of the flea market guys are there.
One of the big problems with that, Jason, is traffic.
Yes.
Let me tell you, the schools actually close, all the Xenia community schools, which is a bigger section than just Xenia, Ohio. It covers a portion of Greene County, and they close. And I could just imagine the grief that we could get on, snarling up that traffic for another day.
For another day, right? Yeah, gosh.
But we're looking at things for next year to maybe entice more people in on Sunday, and we're not ready to get that out. But there's something.
Sure.
We want to remind everybody to be thinking about awards for next year. Submitting a nomination, it's a big deal. We have we even changed the location of where we're going to do the award ceremony this year. Will be in Greene County at a beautiful place.
Okay.
But we do offer, of course, the Amateur of the Year, the Technical Achievement, Special Achievement, and Club of the Year. And we get we can't win it. So I just want to. You can go ahead and submit pretty quickly.
Okay.
The forms are on the website.
On the website. Okay.
Right.
Good.
Right.
Okay. Good. Excellent.
And maybe, Jack, what we ought to do is think about having the Media Interviewer of the Year award. We could give Emmys out or things like that.
Okay. Good deal. Hey, yeah, that's good to know. And those are available on the website, and I might even sign up myself and do. I missed it this year. Some of the video guys, like 100 Watts and a Wire and Ham Nation and those guys, they'll do a forum that just discusses their video podcast or the audio podcast at Hamvention every year. And I was going to do that this year, and I lost track of time, and I looked at it like 3 weeks before the show, and I'm like, oh, they've closed those forum signups a long time ago. So I'm going to try to do that next year.
The forums are very, very popular.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to put on a form, especially you,
Hugely popular.
Right.
Sign up early, and just because you sign up, we go through a vetting process.
Okay.
To issue time slots, so it's a complex formula that we use.
Okay.
But very popular.
Good to know.
Just because somebody had a forum last year doesn't necessarily mean they're guaranteed every year.
Okay. Good
But
to know.
there's a lot of very popular forums.
Right.
And we do cater to the real popular ones.
Sure,
So,
of course. Yeah, I mean that's the best way to do it. If you're limited on space or time, absolutely. You want to put the forums up that people want to see.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So what was your favorite thing at Hamvention this year, Jason? What did you like? What made you feel good?
Oh, my favorite thing. Well, my favorite thing is always seeing everyone in person, face to face, that I talk to on the radio throughout the year. I mean, that's my. With every Hamfest I go to, that's what it is. I trade emails with people all the time. ICOM, the guys at Kenwood, the guys at MFJ, the guys at MFJ and I are pretty tight. Main Trading Company, which they're out here near me, so I see them fairly regularly. But like HRO and the guys at Flex Radio are really great. Matt Youngblood and those guys are really cool. The guys at Elecraft, gosh, I don't remember that dude's name, Jim. I've interviewed him like 3 times. I don't remember his name right now. But I just enjoy seeing everyone and walking up and shaking their hands and just saying, how you doing, what's going on, what's new, and that kind of thing. That's my favorite part for me.
How did you just drive in and park, or how did you get to the event?
We stayed at that Ramada Inn in Xenia. It was like a mile and a half away. And the guys from MTC stayed there, and several of the flea market guys stayed there. I saw, oh gosh, I can't remember who else was there. The guys from Alpha Antennas were there. And we drove in each morning. Like I'd get up early. The first day, Friday, I got up and I left. No, I'm sorry. Thursday, I got up and I left at like 9. Because I'm not an early bird. I'm just not. So I got up and left at I waited like 30 minutes. It was an hour. It was a mile and a half away. I had to wait in line for 30 minutes to get in the gate. So I thought, okay, tomorrow for the show, I'm going to actually get up early. So I got up at like 7 on Friday and Saturday both, and I got in no time at all. If the show doesn't start till 9, it was 10 minutes from hotel to the fairground. So I got in there, got all my stuff set up. I was very privileged to share a booth this year and last year with the guys from Bridgecom Systems out of Kansas City. Great group of guys out there. Very great commercial grade equipment that is targeted for amateur radio. They have a commercial side also, but they have a commercial grade equipment that's targeted for amateur radio. Ron and Tim out there are great guys, and they I catch up with them at 2 or 3 or 4 shows throughout the year, and they're just really friendly people that I like hanging out with. So Tim's a big craft beer guy, like I was talking about earlier. So I tend to hang out with the craft beer people. But yeah, I mean, I just like, to answer your question, Mike, I just like seeing everyone face to face. You talk to people on the radio all year long. We've got digital voice over IP now, like DMR and D-Star and System Fusion. Of course, HF, you can pick up anybody on HF, but I just like seeing people that I was like, hey, I didn't see you since Hamvention last year. We've talked on the radio. We traded emails, but I haven't seen you since last year. Good to see you again, that kind of thing.
Sure. Talk about it. Great. So another big improvement that you mentioned, you were able to get in there pretty quick. Mm-hmm. The first day of opening last year, there were some traffic issues.
Right.
Big traffic issues. The sheriff directly got involved and got them straightened up very, very quickly.
Right.
This year, when the gates were open, Michael and I were standing during the main opening, talking to people as they came in, asked them how the traffic was, and big kudos we got to put out to the sheriff, Gene Fisher, the Greene County Sheriff, who really went out of his way to work with us. And he is now one of us. Last year, he went ahead and got his ham radio license.
Awesome.
So he's definitely one of us, and he believes in what we're doing and wants to help. And can't thank him enough. He's really put everything he's got into helping us get things moving.
That's great.
An interesting story about the traffic and parking is that, Jack is part of the chamber in Xenia, and I just joined the Rotary in Xenia, just so we can really connect with the people in Xenia. I live in Greene County. I even have a Xenia mailing address.
Okay.
I live south. I mean, so I can really get in trouble. But anyway, I went to this.
So I'm gonna come stay with you next year then, Mike. So just send me your address, and I'll be there on Wednesday.
Actually,
you won't be there.
Actually, we live at I have a big fifth wheeler that I bring in, and a group of us stay in my fifth wheeler.
Okay.
We are right there at the entrance.
Nice.
And so we're there Monday or Tuesday on the whole time.
Awesome.
Except we have events in the evening that we've got to go out. But anyway, let me tell you this story about parking. And I went to this meeting, and they were saying, it just wasn't as big a crowd as last year. It just wasn't. Because I was talking to my wife, and the traffic wasn't as bad or anything like that, so it wasn't a big crowd. So I asked him, I said, were you there? No. But the traffic just wasn't there. I said, actually, the whole traffic pattern changed, even the way they park it. They what they did, they moved the cars in right away, and they put them in a farther spot in the parking lot, and they just kept parking and it kept that traffic flowing, and we didn't stop. We don't collect money or anything, and so it really made a huge difference. So we were excited about that. So I guess maybe to kind of wrap it up, because to have anything new right now, we're in the planning stages. We've got to do we still haven't had our critique meeting. We have a big critique meeting. What are we going to do better next year? Okay. That's all coming up. But for right now, except for the board members, everybody's like taking a little bit of a breath, because you just can't imagine what it's like. Imagine 600 to 700 volunteers.
Wow.
And nobody's getting paid. Not even Jack. Nobody gets paid to do this. Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. So we really, I liked it that a lot of people actually thanked volunteers when they were out there. I heard that back, because we've been trying to push that, and it is a thing to thank a volunteer. And I do want to say that if you have questions about Hamvention, and we appreciate the comments, and we get them. We get lots of them, and we try to get back to everybody. Sometimes we're not as good about it, but we certainly will try. Jack is good on QRZ, and I'm good on QRZ at Whiskey 8 Charlie India. And even good comments, bad comments, or whatever, we'll take it. I like the constructive comments, because the thing that we do, Jason, I think you've noticed it over the last so many years, is that we try to really lean into the opportunity, lean into where we made a mistake, lean into let's fix this, let's fix that, because we recognize that we're an important pillar for amateur radio in our own way. I mean, you're doing your thing for amateur radio, because that's a labor of love. I don't know how much you get paid to do these shows, but you've got equipment there, you've got high microphones, you've got all kind of things going on there. You probably got a Yaesu radio behind you. We were trying to guess if that was an FT2000 behind you.
That's an FT1. That's an FT1000 MP Mark 5.
Oh, okay. Well, we couldn't tell. We were just trying to.
And that's a 101 double E with the external VFO, external speaker, and the 1200 FT 1200 amp. So old generation, new generation, but yeah, definitely.
Jack always tells me here that he's a vacuum tube sort of guy living in a solid state world. So, but anyway, we're going to go ahead and wish you our best 73.
Sure.
And tell your viewership they're welcome to contact us. We're all in this thing together. So
yeah. Well, let me say one more thing. Last year, this is how fast you guys work. Okay, last year I think I started to say it earlier, and we got sidetracked with something. Last year there was a big problem with traffic Friday morning. Saturday, the next day, during Hamvention 2017, it was fixed, and people were coming in saying, man, they fixed that thing that happened yesterday, it's gone. I mean, no problems at all. So I know you guys are attentive to the problems, you're aware of what's going on, and you're working to resolve them. So that, it's a growing process.
Thank you.
God, gosh. You got 35,000 people in one spot. I think you guys floored Xenia when you said, oh, yeah, we're going to have a ham radio show, and they probably thought, okay, so like 12 people, and then you just totally blasted them last year, and they couldn't believe it. So it's moving in the right direction. Obviously, it's moving in the right direction. So, yeah, I'll let you guys go. I know you're...
Real quick, you mentioned how responsive we were on that, and that's one of the reasons Michael and I actually stay overnight on the property. We want to be there if there is an issue. We want to know what it is so we can respond and get it taken care of.
Yeah, and I think that's worked very well so far. Okay.
We want to try to be as upfront as we can about things, and we'll tell you how it is or how it isn't. But thank you very much for recognizing that as a group of volunteers, we're working hard.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We appreciate it. We really do. Hamvention is a great show. And like I said, growing pains, but it's awesome. It's an awesome event. I really enjoy it. So thanks, guys. Appreciate your time.
All right.
7-3.
73.
Okay. 73, guys. Y'all have a good one.
This has been Ham Radio 2.0, a YouTube production by KC5HWB. Visit our website at www.livefromthehamshack.tv. Please also stop by our Facebook page at fb.me/hamradio2. Be sure and subscribe here on YouTube to keep up with all the new videos that are posted nearly every Monday. 73s everyone, and thanks for watching.